समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
It has been an extraordinary few hours for Indian sport, in particular for women in sport. I don't know about you, but I was up pretty much into the wee hours of the morning, sobbing my heart out, watching the stories and the backstories of the amazing women's cricket team that has lifted the World Cup. There's a lot to talk about. Let me introduce our guest today, and we'll continue to play out those very special images, those very special moments. If we can now have our very special panel of experts as we look at this historic moment, I want to welcome to the program Squadron Leader Shikha Pandey. Squadron Leader Shikha Pandey is an Air Force officer, but is also an international cricketer and probably the only Air Force officer who also plays cricket. Welcome to the program. Also joining me is Anuradha Dutt. Most of you may know her as one of India's top lawyers, but she's here today in her capacity as someone who has been a member of the Indian women cricket team and in 1997 was an instrumental organizer of the World Cup, of the then World Cup, hosting 13 countries. So welcome, Anu, to the program. Also joining us is Joy Bhattacharya. He is, of course, one of India's foremost sports administrators. He runs an absolutely fascinating account on X, and you must follow it. I do, and it has the most extraordinary details. And also joining us is India's best sports journalist, Sharda Ugra. I am such a fan of her writing, and it's great to see all of you. I want to start without further ado by playing out what Captain had to say about this moment. She called it a revolution. It is nothing short of a revolution. Let's start there, and we'll come to all of you for comments.
बहुत सालों से हम लोग बात करते आ रहे हैं कि हम अच्छा क्रिकेट तो खेल ही रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ वी हैव टू विन वन बिग टूर्नामेंट, क्योंकि उसके बिना जो रेवोल्यूशन की हम बात करते हैं, चेंजेस की बात करते हैं, वो नहीं आ पाएगा. क्योंकि एंड ऑफ द डे फैंस, ऑडियंस, एवरीबडी दे वांट टू सी कि उनकी फेवरेट टीम कप उठाए. और वी हैव बीन प्लेइंग गुड क्रिकेट. ऐसा नहीं था कि हम अच्छा क्रिकेट नहीं खेल रहे थे, लेकिन वी वर बैडली वेटिंग फॉर दिस मोमेंट. और आज इस मोमेंट को जीने का मौका मिला है. आई डोंट नो हाउ टू एक्सप्रेस, बट आई एम सो हैप्पी एंड सो प्राउड ऑफ दिस टीम.
So that is Harman there, the captain. But many people are saying that the analogies with 1993 are totally misplaced because what the women have had to go through is very, very different. I'm sorry, I keep saying 1993, but I want to say 1983. I'm so sorry. 1983, the World Cup win for the men's cricket team. Because after all, if we now call it the women's cricket team, we have to start calling it the men's cricket team. And I want to bring in first comments from you, Sharda, before we get into the 1983 comparisons, just the import of this moment, and then we'll come to, of course, everybody else, Shikha, Anu, and Joy. Yeah, Sharda.
Thanks, Barkha. Just a huge moment for Indian cricket. Again, like you, I don't agree with the 1983 comparison at all because we are at a different stage in our country's evolution, progress, call it what you may. Massive for women's sports and massive for women's cricket. I think the number of people that watched, the number of people that came to this ground, it has literally... 2017 was a very, very big moment, as Shikha will tell you. But this is literally like gone 5x, and the sport can only increase sort of 10 times over because of what was done. And winning that world title is very important, as Harmanpreet said herself, that look, this is what it is, this is what we play for, a big win. And I mean, just emotional and fabulous and all the rest of it.
Yeah. So let me get comments from an actually active player. So, let me get Shikha to come in. Shikha, we're all giving gyan, but you're actually playing. How tough has it been for somebody like you, in your years, there's Anuradha here who's also played cricket back in the 80s. And I want to really chronicle from her time to yours how much has changed and how much hasn't changed. But first, just your thoughts at this big moment.
Firstly, thanks for having me on the show. I would say that it's history. I myself have played in two World Cup finals. I played in the 2017 World Cup final, lost very closely, 2020 World Cup T20 final. And to be able to see this, to be able to see that the Indian women's team has at last picked up a trophy, it's amazing. Like Harman said, it's a statement more than a trophy. It's a statement because not many people know that 2017 World Cup was the first World Cup where all the matches were televised. But now in 2025, we have so many different languages, so many people, so many media channels are following the sport. So it is 5x, as Shada ma'am rightly said. But just to have that World Champions trophy in the cabinet, it's a huge deal. It will increase the number of young women cricketers taking up the sport, and for them to be able to tell their parents that I want to take up sport, it is just that.
And how tough has this journey been for you? I mean, I thought one of the most beautiful moments of the celebrations were the tributes and the participation for Mitali Raj, for Julan, for Anjum. It was a hat tip to the women who've had to fight before, so that today's women can actually sort of do what they're doing. And I just want to ask you, how tough has it been for you? I mean, you're breaking twin barriers, military and cricket. Which one has been tougher to break the gender barrier in?
I guess both, but then honestly, I was very lucky. I was a 19th kid, and I actually started playing cricket professionally only after the merger happened with BCCI. As Anuradha ma'am can speak in detail, I have heard stories from Juludi and Mitalidi about how they would travel in unreserved train compartments and how difficult life was. They have literally paid from their own pockets to be able to go out and play cricket for India. So they played for passion. It was not the case with me. I got lucky, and the generations that are going to come are going to get even more luckier, and which is how it should be. I'm so happy that this has happened, because now a young girl can sit with their parents, watch the sport every day on the telly, and tell them that they would want to take up the sport professionally.
So, Anuradha, I must get you in now. In the 1980s, as somebody playing cricket, as a member of the Indian cricket team, what was that like? And then having to organize the World Cup in 1987, had anything really changed by then? Because, even if you look at sort of the images out of auditoriums and stadiums 3, 4, 5 years ago, you didn't see the kind of packed at the seams crowd that we saw in Mumbai this time. What do you remember about the toughest bit about being a woman in cricket? Can you unmute yourself, Anu? I think you're muted at your side. Yeah.
Okay, so first thing I want to say is that this victory, according to me, is not just that it's bringing people to the ground, more girls will follow, but to my mind, it's been recognized as a woman's game. Till now, I mean, at least when I was playing and when I was managing, it was like you are playing a man's game. It's like women's tennis. Till Billie Jean King, Navratilova came, then it got recognized as a women's game. Something distinct from men's, same game, but it was recognized. It's not that you are copying men and playing their game. So to my mind, the biggest significance of this victory is that it's going to be now recognized as a women's game per se. And
by which you mean a separate sport that women.
Not that we are copying men. I remember going on one channel with Sidhu, and he said, "Oh, you are copying boys. You are trying to, play the way they play." So that I think myths should come to an end.
Now, Harman, sorry, on that point, the captain was wearing a T-shirt. There's this viral image. I think we have it also. And the T-shirt said, "Cricket, not a gentleman's game, everyone's game." Exactly. And I think that's the point that she wanted to make. That yeah,
it's now recognized as a women's sport. It's not that I'm playing something which men play. So that, according to me, is very, very important for people to come to the ground, for people to take up the sport, for sponsors to come that yes, this is a separate sport for women, and they do well. I mean, there's nothing as victory. I mean, that's what brings the nation together in every sport. Now, in early 80s, when I was playing, we used to, pay for travel, etc. I think,
Yourselves.
yes, uh, I did rebel at that time, and I used to tell the girls, don't pay. If they don't want to take us, let
Yeah.
them not take us. But
Yeah.
that apart, most of the girls played for passion. I took over in 91 or so, 91, 92. And the first thing we tried to ensure was that the girls don't play for travel or, where they stay. 97 World Cup was also a big moment because we got a sponsor. We got a big sponsor in Hero, Mr. Munjal, BM Munjal. He gave us a good check where we could, take everybody around and put them in hotels, pay our girls for playing. It was very little money, but at least we tried to professionalize. But I think since the merger, uh, BCCI has put in, I'm presuming, I don't follow administration part anymore. I just follow the cricket, men and women cricket.
Yeah.
But the resources are there. So, there's more professionalism. And in 70s, 80s, there were brilliant players like Shanta, Dinah, but things didn't come together because there were not enough resources. There was no team cohesion. I remember seeing Chak De India and saying, oh boy, this is not familiar. But this team looks very, very united, happy, enjoying the game. And I think that has what has allowed it to, be so successful.
Joy, let me bring you in on this analogy. This is women's cricket 1983 movement. I have no idea why in some Biden brain fog we have been calling it 1983 sort of moment. Personally, there's a lot of argument this analogy has triggered. Because literally, I mean, when Anuradha reminds us that women had to pay their way just to play the match, it's like saying, oh, if you want to play, pay for yourself. Nobody's really interested in investing in you as sports people. From then to now, when you couldn't get a seat for love or money at the stadium last night, what a change. That said, still so much is difficult. Shefali Verma, when you look at her, her father had to enroll her as a boy. She had to disguise her gender to be able to play cricket. There's also sort of abject poverty and struggle that happens with some male cricketers as well. One of the most moving bits, and I'll play out that little interview excerpt in just a moment, has been Amanjot's father. Amanjot, of course, took a game-changing catch, and her father is a carpenter. And when they didn't have money to buy a bat, he actually made his daughter her first bat, and there he is sobbing in tears of pride at the fact that struggle has actually led to this big moment. So when we keep saying, hey, this is like women's cricket's 83 moment, this is like that World Cup win, is it really like that World Cup win, or is that a tone deaf analogy?
I think it's much more. I mean, first I'd like to just thank Anuradha ma'am, because in 1997 when she organized that World Cup in India, there was a certain lady, young lady who was a ball boy there, enthralled by the game. And Jhulan Goswami went on to represent India for many, many years after that.
Yeah.
And only if you open doors like that, if you put it in front of people, are girls going to come into cricket. And I think this is a much larger journey. And I think one of the things that has made it even bigger, one is that the media is much bigger. In social media, the ability for situations to snowball, for people to come together and sort of rally around something has become much bigger. And I think what has also happened is that if you notice, this has not been an easy journey in this World Cup. We lost 3 matches. We lost a match against Australia. We thought we'd win. We lost against England. We lost against South Africa. People started writing us up. So the whole drama of it became much more stark because you suddenly play the best team in the world. No team in world cricket has a record like the Australian women's cricket team. No team, not even the Australian men's cricket team. And to them, beat them, have this absolutely incredible semi-final. So it's all set up for a much, much bigger moment, because you're walking through, as rightly said, all cricket in 1983 had to do was become a bigger game than hockey in India. And that is what it did. And unfortunately, hockey has never recovered. What this has done is just not talking about cricket in India, it's about women's sport in India. And I think this is a milestone moment for women's sport in India. It is truly amazing to watch. And I mean, sometimes lots of comments are made about women's cricket, and you see somebody making a tone deaf comment and it going unnoticed, or nobody's just commenting on it. Today, when they make those same comments, a former board president turning around and saying women shouldn't play cricket, and now suddenly guys are saying, you guys were saying women
Yeah.
shouldn't play cricket. So they've taken this as a moment to rally around, and I think Indian sport will change forever. Forget women's sport, Indian sport has changed by what has happened yesterday.
I mean, that's N. Srinivasan that you make a reference to, who actually made a comment saying that the only reason that he was, backing women's cricket is because he had to, because the board was forcing him to. There's an old clip, I haven't checked it's, where it was said, but Saurav Ganguly is being quoted as having said that, women don't need to play cricket. I mean, I don't know, Sharda, you can tell us more if you've seen that clip. But I want to come to this 83 moment, because this is the sort of media cliches that often define a narrative. And when not to take away anything from the 83 World Cup win, not to take away anything from how, the movies tell us male players had to struggle. But that struggle cannot compare with how women have had to struggle and how women are still struggling. So I want Sharda, Shikha and Anu to respond on this 83 analogy before we move on to some of the other aspects of what this win means. Sharda, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the 83 analogy is sort of using the male lens to see this with, which is incorrect. You have to use the lens of the woman cricketer, the female cricketer, what access they had, how did they get here, what is still available to them. What this will do is it will open doors. So a very interesting thing was pointed out to me by Rika Roy. She said, look, if you go through, she said, look, it's in public, it's not my discovery, but she did point it out. She said, look at where all the players, the majority of players in this team come from. She said towns like Sangli, like Moga, like Siliguri, all around the country in the small towns. So this is actually what has happened. This is it's the succession of the 2017 story, which Shikha will remember. So these are the younger players that came through, that followed her generation. They looked at that, they said, we want to be Harman, we want to be Smriti, we want to be Mithali. That's the generation that has come through. And now literally it'll explode even to a greater degree, because they've seen this cup, they've seen this title. And the fact that the women cricketers have a very close link with their past is also very important, and it was played out through all the all the celebration after the win, and they called them into the celebration. Jemima said that this is for the people that were before us who continued playing but they could have stopped. It was so difficult in the 1970s. They continued playing. This is for them, and this is for the generation to follow. Now that kind of a statement, and like Shikha said, it's a statement, and so that thing has sort of a ripple effect that it'll just keep escalating. It's not it's not a watershed. It's going to be a flood of that's going to come through.
Since we're talking about the women who came before, let me go back to Anu before I come to Shikha. Anu, Joyce spoke about Jhulan. And Jhulan was sobbing yesterday. She was just sobbing in those pictures. And there's this little clip where I think Smriti Mandana tells her, I'm sorry we couldn't do it for you last time. And Jhulan tells the story about how, the cricketers had come to her room and they had told her, one day we're going to do this for you. And it's very interesting that Joy links back Jhulan's emotions to where it all started when you were playing cricket, when you were trying to organize a World Cup. Do you remember Jhulan at all from that time?
Well, I do remember, because when she came into the Indian team, I was there. She, Anjum Chopra, Mithali, I've interacted with them as an administrator. But what I wanted to tell you was, see, 83 was where the men's cricket, they started believing they can win. In India, you also have to remember, you can't compare men and women sports, because our society is still traditional, conservative. And to allow a girl into sports is not something that we are emancipated enough to do regularly. So, that according to me, since it's now becoming a women's game, more parents will allow their girls to say, okay, go out and look at the prize money that they're getting. Outstanding. And this is what, at the end of it, it's like your army. Okay, they do it for the country, but they have to be paid. It's the same thing. Our girls want to go and make a career out of it. So what this is showing is that girls can make a career, and that's why they were not being allowed, because you will become like a boy. Who will marry you? What will you do after marriage? Now, mold, I'm hoping, will break to some extent. Of course, it's not going to break totally, because our society is still to evolve a lot more. But that mold, I'm hoping, there'll be some breakthrough in this mold, that girls can't make this as a career.
Shikha, talk about that. I mean, if you weren't in the Air Force already when you also started playing, cricket, and the Air Force came earlier, and therefore you're an Air Force officer who also plays cricket internationally. How tough would it have been to be a professional cricketer alone if you didn't have, in a sense, the security of the uniform?
It was difficult. Like I said, I was a 90s kid. So I have had so many state-mates of mine who used to play cricket with me. They had to leave cricket because they had to then search for a job. I was very lucky. I had a very supportive family, and they were okay. After finishing engineering, after I completed engineering, I got placed in 3 multinational companies. And I said, no, I took a year off. And it was only after that that I joined Air Force, and I was told that it is services. Hopefully, you'll get to play cricket alongside. It was a leap of faith for me. And the only employment giving organization in India for women who want to pursue sports is Railways. And I had an engineer's degree. I wouldn't do justice to my education if I had joined Railways. So in a way, I got very lucky. I was there at the right time, at the right place. And Air Force Sports Control Board, they were so helpful. I would like to mention Air Vice Marshal Baladitya. He was Services Sports Control Board Secretary. He was the one who was instrumental. I had no clue that in the background he was talking to Sandeep Patil sir. He spoke to them about me. I just knew that I had joined Air Force. If I get to play, okay. If I don't get to play, I'll probably just be an Air Force officer. So the person I am today is probably also because I have these two phases of the coin. So I got very lucky. I have so many players. When we played the 2017 World Cup, at least 11 of them were from Railways, which is not the case anymore. Now, central contracts have come into being. You have a WPL, which the fourth edition will start really early. There are players who are now leaving Railways if they don't get enough opportunities, because now they can play in WPL and they have job security. They have monetary benefits. And having said that, I still think there is so much more to be done in terms of grassroots investments and everything. It is. I'm hoping this is just the beginning. This is not the end. Winning the World Cup is not the end. This should have happened in 2017. There's a lot of work which is done, but there's so much more which needs to be done.
Yeah, and to this point, that if 83 for the men was we can win, then I think to that extent, to that limited extent, this moment could be that we can win. This is our beginning. This is not our end. But I want to come to this thought that earlier you had to be in the police service, you had to be in the railways, you had to basically be an employee of government if you had to survive as a woman in sport. And even some of the non-cricket sports for men. So I think for a woman in sport, what Anuradha is talking about, the social bias, I don't think it's gone. You have Amanjot's father, who's a carpenter, who talks about how when he decided to encourage his daughter to play cricket, the community would taunt him, and they would say these things, that she'll be like a boy, nobody will marry her. The sort of premium we place on marriage for girls continues to be one of our structural, I would say, barriers to women making freer choices. You've been in this game, you've managed it like Anu. How do you see the shifts? What has changed and what has still not changed?
I think a lot has changed, but I think the point that Shika is making is a very valid point. You see, 90% in 95%, let me not say 90%, 95% of sport in India, women are allowed to play because they can get a secure job. Okay, and most often that secure job is either the railways, the services, local excise, customs. These are very, very standard situations. Air India used to be Indian Airlines, Airlines used to be at one time. So the point is, this has gone only in women's cricket. Women's cricket is the one place where in the WIPL somebody could get 2.5 crore rupees and not have to bother and say that I'm going to play. It doesn't matter. This is going to pay me enough for me to take opportunities myself. And it's a fantastic thing. Recently, I was hearing about, I'm not going to mention who it is, WIPL Indian cricket star who's probably moving from one franchise to another franchise. She's leaving her franchise, though being retained. And they're saying that, maybe we'll offer her 2.5, 3 crores, she'll stay. And the point I'm trying to make is not about the fact that whether she should go or she should stay, but the fact that such figures are being bandied around and you are saying, you know what, if I don't get my worth here, I'll move to another franchise. And I think that's fantastic. The truth is, top level women's cricket, we are talking about 20, 25, not even 20, 25, perhaps 15, 20 women in India can command that kind of price and situation with the WIPL. For the rest, it is still a government job.
WPL.
The job, and therefore there's so much more to do. I've been running a volleyball league for 5 years now, and one of the things I want to do is start a women's volleyball league. The problem I have is that if you don't have a pool of good enough players, 45, 50 good enough players, then you'll show volleyball which is not exciting, and then it will regress further. The point is, it's chicken and egg. Because what you want to do is also, if you put it out there, there will be women. Women are watching. They want to play sport. But this chicken and egg is such a big thing in Indian sport. So somebody has to put a leap of faith and start investing a bit. I think the opportunities are there to invest now. They weren't there before. And it's so funny. Let me tell you one thing. Because I work with Baseline and a lot of these firms, I work with women's cricket a fair amount. And one of the biggest problems of women's cricket is the fact it is the same as any Indian outdoor sport. The girl will turn dark, her complexion will turn dark. And that is one of the single biggest barriers stopping people to play women's sport. And this is something...
I mean, this is still happening.
Repeatedly, I've heard it at the grassroots level. I mean, there are times when the father has said, my daughter wants to play, the mother is saying, Kali ho jayegi, shadi kaise hoga? And this is literally, these are realities. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
There's fantastic things happening, but there's so much more to do. It's not even funny.
And that is the only reason I rejected the 83 analogy. I get the whole sort of, this is the winning moment, it's the turning point. But I mean, I don't think people say these things to men in sport. They don't say, Shadi kaise hogi, aap kale ho jaoge, aapka rang badal jayega. Sharda, let's talk for a moment, and also Anu and Shikha, picking up on what Joy has said, that the social bias, we're celebrating these women now because they've won. Till before the semis, I mean, we've seen awful, cruel trolling of some of these players. We have seen little comments saying, go back into the kitchen. We have seen Jemima Rodriguez mocked for her belief in her faith, right? In the worst possible way. We have seen Jemima do something actually extraordinary. Talk openly about the fact that she battled anxiety and she would cry all the time. These are very, very powerful moments, but they're also very, very vulnerable moments. And in this celebration, let's not forget or lose track of how tough it's been for all of them. This trolling, this social bias that Joy says is still so deep-rooted, how do you see it?
It is the way it is for Indian women in sport. It is the way for the majority of Indian women that are out there. I had a really weird thought last night when the match finished. I said, I'm so glad that the girls, the hotel was close by. So they didn't have to have a long journey at night. And this is just a normal female response to, just an idiot thinking. This is a sports team. They'll be looked after. And the whole... it's a very to me, I look at it as a complete contradiction, because in these women that are there, these 30 women, what you're seeing is them playing to their top physical ability, their top athletic and skill ability, and they are able to put their bodies on the line. And that, for the outside of the rest of the world, when they go away, that's, they can do whatever they want on the field with their bodies, but when they go away, they have to be, good girls again. So that whole good girl thing comes back into, and therefore there's this trolling, therefore there's all this thing about kali ho jayegi, shadi nahi hogi, all these things. So it's so important that other young women today, young girls, can switch on the TV and see them. And that's why Shikha pointed out, in 2017, for the first time we saw the women play. We had no idea what they played like, and for them to be seen and to be visible. So in a way, there's always this pull and tug that's happening with women's sports, which does not happen with the men at all. It's not there at all. Whatever else economic hardship they may face, they do not face this sort of social constraint, which is why these girls are so extraordinary, and their stuff is so fabulous. Just one more thing I want to say quickly. When the men won the 2020 World Cup, they were given 125 crores as inam, like BCCI gives, like, whatever. And so the women won the 50, which only two other Indian Indian cricket team have won in history, and they got 50 crores. And when you have, I was on another channel having a discussion about it. I was saying, but this is the market. No, it's not the market. This is your misogyny or your patriarchy or your sexism or whatever it is coming into play. Because you're not an advertiser trying to judge what an athlete needs to be paid for an ad. You are a sports body who's...
So when did the men, sorry if I'm being ignorant here, when were the men given the
2020, last year, 2024.
And you're saying, so they got 125.
They were given...
125
crores across the board. That's them, support staff, I think selectors. Similarly, women support staff selectors got 50 crores. Now, so and this is, BCCI treats the men and the women equally, right? That's what you're telling us. You're paying them equal prize money. There is parity, falana damkana. So where is the parity gone? This is the prime world tournament of global cricket. This is the 50-over World Cup played once in 4 years. This happened only 3 times that India have won. Kapil Dev, MS Dhoni, Harmanpreet Kaur. And why cannot they get what the men got last year? So, you also have this going on in all the celebration and all the reels and all the Instagram.
It's a really important point, because the BCCI says that it has established parity in pay, and you're actually pointing out,
they have not. So Deepti Sharma said a really interesting thing when she was doing her player of the match talk at the end. They said, what do you look for in the whole thing? 883 watershed, falana. What do you think? What do you hope is going to happen? She said, I hope we get more matches. I hope we get more game time. That's what cricketers want. They want to be able to play. They want the opportunity to be out there.
I want to talk about this difference in prize money. Shikha, Anu, Joy. Shikha, I'll start with you. Does it surprise you? Or
sorry, Barkha. It's not prize money. It's not. It's the BCCI's inam that they have given them. Their reward.
Inam kya hota hai? Inam is prize only, na? Inam kya hota hai?
It's not the prize. It's not the prize for winning the tournament. It is the prize for BCCI's happiness that they have given you this money to reward you as their employees.
So how would you technically describe it?
It's a BCCI award, largesse, inam, whatever. There must be some word. I think Joy will find the word. I think
Joy, what is the word? Let me come to Joy first. If it's not prize money, why have the women been paid less?
It's a dispensation from the BCCI. They are happy with what you have done, so they've decided to give you an ex-gratia payment or whatever it is. The truth of it is, right, if you do 125 crores for a 20-over tournament, which happens every 2 years, the 50-over is a more important tournament because it's played once every 4 years. Why aren't you not paying them the same amount of money? And I think it's a totally fair question to ask them, to which you're going to get a response of, "Are 50 crore de diye, itna mein khush nahi ho."
Khush hona chahiye.
So good luck with that. But that's exactly
it's significantly less. 125 crores to 50 crores. Sharda, I'm glad you flagged this, because there were people in our audience talking about the pay parity that the BCCI has established between men and women, and you're saying this inam proves that we're not there yet. So I want Shikha and Anuradha to respond to this.
Let's call it bonus. Bonus, employee bonus. Employee bonus.
Shikha, does this surprise you?
Firstly, I've got, I don't know if I can comment on it. You should probably just go
You
and check
can't.
the
You
contract.
should not.
Fair enough.
You should
Fair
just
enough.
check the
Fair enough. Fair enough.
contract on that.
Let's not put you on the spot. But in general terms, is there equality or is
Honestly,
there a yeah?
honestly, you were talking about the stereotypes. I think for so long we have been trying to break stereotypes, and after this win, we wouldn't have to do it anymore. Like Shada ma'am said, patriarchy is so deep rooted in the society. Every time you lose, you go on social. I'm actually off social media whenever I play tournaments because it's terrible. You have comments from people saying इनको सब कुछ चाहिए लेकिन ये इनको करना कुछ नहीं है, and senior journalists saying that, which is really sad. There are people, even this team for that matter, they were shamed. They were shamed left, right, and center. I'm hoping that the girls won this World Cup not to show them that they could do it. I hope that's not the motivation, because we shouldn't be caring about these kind of comments. The abuse, there is criticism, there is constructive criticism, and there is abuse. And mostly women cricketers get abused, and which is sad, which is what which sadly that's the story, that's the real story that women cricketers have to go through every single time. So being on off social media is the only way through for us. And like I said, I'm hoping that this World Cup win will shut the mouth of all those people who said karte kuch nahi hai, inko sab kuch same chahiye. I just hope that there's much more investment, and now it's not breadcrumbs, but a huge piece of the cake that comes our way.
Anuradha, I want you to come in. There was no social media in the 80s when you played cricket. There was no social media in 97 when you had to organize the Women's World Cup. But there must have still been snide remarks. Maybe not for you because, you had a very different progressive family. But for a lot of women who even today, Joy is saying, "Abhi bhi bolte hai, kali ho jayegi, shadi nahi koi karega." And I think Shikha has said something so powerful that this team was shamed before it was celebrated. Sharda is pointing out that the remuneration, somebody in our audience stream said, don't call it anything else, call it remuneration. And Saurabh Vishesh, she says, it should be called remuneration. It's paying for a job well done, just like a performance bonus. So we'll go with remuneration. That there is a difference in the remuneration, 125 crores to a 50 crore difference. How do you see all of this, from trolling to snide remarks to personal comments to shaming to the fact that an F officer cricketer has to get off social media because it can be so toxic for women?
So, as far as social media is concerned, Barkha, that's not just because you're a woman. There are two instances in men's team which have been trolled as being pro-Pakistan because of certain remarks or religion. So that's unfortunately our society has become so intolerant today that you get remarks for even if you do the right thing, but somebody doesn't agree with you. So to that extent, I'm not surprised about trolling. Jemima absolutely is very unfair, which I came to know after the Australia match, how she had been treated. But then, as I said to you, our society is still conservative. We don't have a liberal society. Even in cities, I had a friend who played cricket with me. And she said, if meat is made in her house and there are only two pieces, it'll go to the father and the brother. She will not get it. So, we've seen all this. In bigger cities, there is a little more liberalism. But otherwise, our society is extremely conservative. And I'm not surprised. I mean, as I said to you, from my times, I heard this. Oh, why are you playing? What are you going to get out of it? Where's the money? Where's the career? Do some studies.
Also comments on looks. We haven't spoken about that enough, but this sort of idea of femininity, of looking a certain way, a certain skin complexion.
That's why, Barkha, I said to you, for me, the most important thing is not just winning and having more girls into the game, But this being recognized as a women's sport, distinct from men's cricket, to me, that is
Yeah.
really the watershed moment of this victory. And that I am hoping will allow, more girls to either fight at home, or more parents to be a little more liberal and allow them to come and take sports as a career. As far as money is concerned, I mean, Sharda has made a point, but I'm not sure I fully agree.
Why? I'm fully with Sharda on this. Why? And let me read out a comment.
No,
Prasad
so
Duvuri
prize
says,
money is different. Prize
huh?
money is the ICC prize money.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
ICC fixes, because
Yes.
it's an ICC event. This is what BCCI is giving, because you have brought glory to the game.
So why
Now
is it
I
different glory?
recognize.
Why is the glory valued differently?
No, I see that point, but I personally, if you ask me, I still feel that women, when 1983, when we first time won the game, or the second time Dhoni won the game, we didn't get so much. I mean, the men's cricketers didn't get so much. To 2020, as she's saying, you got far more. Uh, I I mean, there's a real valid point to say why not the same, but if it is not the same, it still is good money, and I'm hoping that in
That it'll
future,
get better.
more laurels, they will get more
I,
parity.
I just want to, on the money, just bring in Joy for a last comment, because the argument is being made by some of our viewers that somewhere this is connected to the earnings of BCCI. And I don't know if that's true. The BCCI match fees parity exists today. The largest is the function of the earnings via sponsorship. The BCCI rakes in a lot more in the men's game. Women's games will now get big. Is this even accurate, Sharda or Joy? Sharda, you want to come first and then Joy?
No, Joy first, because he'll be logical and I'll just be
Okay.
emotional and say this is all crap and whatever.
Right,
Joy
right.
knows the
Okay.
numbers. Joy knows the numbers better than I do.
Joy.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, I mean women's cricket is men's cricket brings in much more money than women's cricket. Women's cricket, in fact, the leagues, a lot of the women's cricket leagues right now, the WIPL, a lot of the team valuations have been a leap of faith. People have paid really
WPL.
good money, and yeah,
WPL.
sorry, WPL, sorry, not WIPL. Sorry,
Yes.
WPL. But the truth of it is that they have made an investment because they see, obviously nobody does this just because it's going to be the end of the rainbow here. So yes, women's cricket right now brings in less money than men's cricket, but the logic of therefore being what it is, we would never have had Billie Jean King in 1972, Virginia Slims. We would never have had that had you not. The US Open was the first tournament in tennis that did it. And once you did it, today you look at women's tennis and men's tennis, and so much
Correct.
more is. So somebody has to take the corrective step and say, we're going to do it and we're going to stick to our guns and let's see where it will go. And look, I think the moment is there because, truth being told, I am less bothered about the money that's being paid at the professional level, though it's an important point because it makes a point of heroes and heroines, which is important for the game. I think if we can get more sponsors, more people into the women's game at the level where they really go out there, do more matches, because the point you're going to get always is that people come in India despite the system, not because of the system. And if we can make that pipeline, if people start really investing in grassroots and make that pipeline better academies at the youth level, more money out there, more tournaments to play out there, mostly more tournaments to play. I mean, that's one huge factor. Women's cricket, just not enough games. They're just not enough games because organizing games requires grounds, requires money, it requires organization. So I'll be happy to say that, okay, what we are getting now in women's cricket at the top level is decent money, but let's put in 10x that money in the grassroots. I'd still be happy.
Yeah, before we allow Sharda her emotional moment calling it all crap, I think I see Shikha's hand go up. Shikha, go ahead.
I guess we need to start having state contracts in place, which will be huge. Someone who plays state level cricket does not work, and the money that we get playing for your state is so less. So every match that you play, even for your state, needs to be televised. That doesn't happen. If that happens, every time we play anywhere in the world, those matches have to be televised. You have DRS, you have Sneeko for every single tournament that you play. So those are the things that we need to look into. The grassroots investment, Joyce has said about it. If we can have more academies which are ready to take in females, which are ready to take young girls and let them practice alongside men, and there's no distinction. That is what we are looking at. Rather than just stacking up money at the higher level, why not start investing at the grassroots level, which is really important. Countries like Australia have state contracts.
Yeah, I think that's the chicken and egg that Joy was referring to earlier, right? And for Deepti to say, what do you want? We want more games. Basically, we want the same opportunity. The same opportunity. And Sharda, the finals have shown. At one point, I looked up on my Jio Hotstar live link, and I think there were some 35 crore. There were 35 crore concurrent viewers watching this final. So we have demonstrated that you can build an audience, but you have to provide the opportunity.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And I'm now going to be sort of rational and about this money business. I'm saying that what Shikha is saying is absolutely right. You need state contracts. They are not even giving state contracts at the Ranji Trophy men's game level, first class male level. And it's not like that there is a shortage of money in the BCCI. There is enough money in the BCCI. The BCCI is not, its involvement in women's cricket is not like Billie Jean King is involvement in women's tennis. The BCCI starts with a corpus which is just crores and crores, and 28,000 crores and 58,000 crores is unimaginable figures. How that money is being used to strengthen the women's game from the bottom up is what is required. This bonus that we are talking about, a performance bonus, with all respect to Anuradha ji, it's a World Cup is a World Cup in any sport. And 26 World Cups have been played in the 50 overs for men and women. India have only won 3 in the 50 over game. 3. And this is the third one. So therefore, if you are giving 125 is fine. The reason why the parity that everyone is speaking of, saying, of course it's there that we are going to pay men this and women this. But men will play 10 matches, women will play 5. So that's not equal. What's the money that you're going to get?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Let me... I don't know. People have said, okay, the money is less important than actually encouraging.
No. Barkha, the moment people start talking about giving money to women of the scale that is equal to men, we are back to that whole argument of equal pay and for equal work and so on. So the moment you talk about money going, that's when everyone's saying, let's not talk about money. Let's talk about sport. So there is this thing that always comes in when women's sport is involved, that no, don't talk about money. They're playing, it's great. So why should you not talk about money when there is money to be given, when there is money to be handed out?
I was just going to say the BCCI has so much money. The BCCI has so much money. I would have hoped that they would at this point have made the amount the same. Anu, just one last comment here. I want to move on to just final comments after that. Anuradha? Yeah.
Yes. No, I'll be very happy if girls are paid same. All I'm saying is that at this stage, 50 crores is also not a small amount.
But could that be because
maybe it is related? No. So let's get one thing clear. BCCI is to encourage sports both for men and women, but the money they make from one arm is far more. So I don't know whether the competition is more or their investment is more. That's something I'm really not looking at this stage at it. I'll be very happy if they are given 130 crores or 50 crores.
I will just say that for the struggles that women of your generation possibly had to go through, I think somewhere we're also so conditioned to also feeling like, oh my God, we never thought we would see 50 crores as a remuneration. It feels big. Great start. So maybe it's also where the sport has come from.
Hopefully it's a start.
Yeah. But I think somewhere we also, as women, are almost fearful of demanding more because the struggle has been so acute, so intense, that we think whatever we get, this is such an improvement ki chalo yaar yahi isi ko celebrate karte hain. Anyway, the point is, this happens in men's cricket also. There are extraordinary backgrounds, diversity from where our players come. But think of a carpenter who crafted the first bat for his daughter because paisa nahi tha. This is Amanjot's father, and my colleague Zafar Iqbal met with him in Chandigarh. I'm just going to play out a very sweet, inspiring, moving clip there, and we'll come back for last comments. Take a look.
बारिश में भी जाती थी प्रैक्टिस करने, चंडीगढ़ जाना बारिश में भी आप उनके साथ साथ में होते हैं, क्योंकि उनके कोच साहब कहते हैं उनको भी आना पड़ता है, उनको पता है अमन ने बेशक बारिश हो रही है उसने आना है, वो स्पेशल इस अकेली के लिए आ जाते थे।
कल जब आप मैच देख रहे थे आपके मन में क्या चल रहा था?
मन में ये था कि बस एक बार वर्ल्ड कप जीत लें जी।
और जब वो कैच उन्होंने पकड़ा तो लगा कि एक बार दिल की धड़कन रुक गई
क्योंकि कैच मिस ना हो जाए।
लेकिन कैच मिस नहीं हुआ,
कैच एक टर्निंग पॉइंट था।
आपको लगा कि अब तो गेम हाथ में आ गया?
अब गेम हाथ में आ गया, बिल्कुल।
तमाम राजमा चावल तैयार है?
बिल्कुल सब तैयार है।
So he's getting his Rajma Chawal prepared to feed his daughter. But, elsewhere he's spoken about how much he had to struggle. There's other stories, a mother having to sell her jewelry, families traveling 40 kilometers by road for practice, Shafali, of course, being enrolled as a boy. These stories are extraordinary. This Amanjot's father, he's a carpenter. And I mean, and today all he's saying is मेरे दिल की धड़क रुक गई, बस मेरा यही चाहता था एक बारी वो वर्ल्ड कप जीत जाए. But he was taunted, he was mocked, he was told he's crazy for allowing his daughter to do this. I want to take final comments. I'll start with you, Joy. I remember interviewing Mithali Raj once, and she said, I'm so tired of being called the Sachin Tendulkar of cricket. Why can't Sachin Tendulkar be called the Mithali Raj of cricket? There's also been a struggle. Some people have said, why are you saying Indian women's cricket team lift the World Cup? We don't say Indian men's team. But I do think the gender matters. The gender matters because the struggle is so much more because of the gender, because of all the things we've spoken about. What are your hopes and what are your anxieties at this moment? I fear that 3 weeks from now, everybody will move on and the girls will be back to their own sort of lonely struggles.
To be honest, I don't think it is. This time it's not going to be for two reasons. One is that I think you've reached a much higher peak. There's far more attention. There are far more eyes on this. The second is the WPL is starting in February, which is not far from now. So, there's going to be excitement. And for whether it's purely commercial reasons or otherwise, from now on, they're going to be talking about the auction, what's going to happen, who's going to play in WPL. So hopefully that momentum will be maintained. This is a very, very big moment. But again, what I really want to see is not so much, I want to see somebody like a Horlicks. So, the companies who are at the base level of the pyramid, Amul, Horlicks, people like that saying, you know what, we're going to invest for 10 years in women's cricket or women's sport. And that is really going to make a difference. Really, if they can. And if, as Shikha so rightly said, state contracts, if you're giving security to players to play, put them on. Today, broadcast, Barkha, you and I know broadcast, and that it's expensive to put out a game. But today, technology allows you to put out a game on YouTube, which is far cheaper. You can start putting out games and really it'll make a difference. So, yeah, I'm very hopeful. I don't think they're going to go back to where they were. But the question only is how high they're going to be able to climb from there.
Yeah. Anu, from the 80s to now, what is it that your hope would be for what you couldn't do yourself in your time? What would you want for the women players of today?
First, BCCI should invest more money in women's game, in the women's cricket. Not only the Indian team, but down below, there should be far more domestic cricket. If you want players to come at international level, there has to be far more domestic cricket also. So that should be structured, more money should be invested. And I'm hoping that, the players at the top level will ensure by the standards that they have set. Because I think next year is also T20, next year or year after that is a T20 World Cup. So these are, things which will attract more girls, a more pool of people, and people see this as a career, not just jobs in public sector undertakings, but as a career that they don't have a job, but this is a career they have, like men's cricket. But but that in men's cricket also there's huge disparity, and that's something I would not want in women's cricket.
Okay, I know we have very little time, Sharda. I know you have a hard stop, and so does probably Shikha. So let's get quick closing comments. Shikha and Sharda in that order. Shikha, 30 seconds, closing thoughts right now.
Let's go the other way. Every 4 years, you have so many fans tuning in to watch these games. A win this year over will hopefully make the seasonal fans change into seasoned fans, and they support the women's cricketers much more. And by them turning out to watch our games and by them following the matches more, the broadcasters will come in, the sponsors will come in, and then you'll have a lot more profits made. And I hopefully that's the way we go there, and we fight for women's cricket in India. So just having more fans brought into the sport, bring into the sport by this win will pave the way.
Yeah. All right, Sharda, I'm going to give you the closing word. Where from here? Can you unmute yourself?
Said that,
yeah, there you are. Yeah.
What Anuradha ji said about this being a women's sport now, open, ready, available for everyone. Let's treat it like a sport. Let's watch it as Shikha was saying. I'm hopeful that that it'll be impossible to sort of stop the progress that the women are going to make. Particularly, I'm sure at the top level we would want it to. I want Deepti to have those more matches, and I want whoever else. I want the state players to get contracts. All those sort of things. Nothing original beyond that. Very, very simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we leave it there. I can tell you that even people who don't watch cricket, I think this is something we didn't speak about, watched cricket last night. There's so many people I know who are not cricket fans, but they're a fan of this team because this moment meant something to so many. I want to say men and women both, but I think in particular to women, it meant something. It really did mean something. And to hear these stories, to hear their struggles, to hear their battles, and also their conviviality, their tenderness, their gentleness, the way they went and hugged the South African team. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that. That was such a beautiful moment. It was such an inclusive moment. So I just think that this is a moment to start building from, and I hope that's what happens. I hope we in the media continue to platform and profile these stories and not forget about them as soon as sort of the season of men's cricket is here. For now, all we can say is well done, bravo. And again, thank you and well done to the women who came before, the women of Anuradha's generation who fought these battles so that women like Shikha today can dream big and others can dream even bigger. To Sharda, to Anu, to Shikha, and earlier to Joy. Thank you so much. And we leave you now with the women team unveiling their team song. They said that they've been sitting on this song for 4 years and now they were finally ready to show it to the world. So we leave you with this. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Chalo, team song. Okay. I'll just tell it once. So we had decided this, I think, 4 years back, that we'd only reveal our team song when we win the World Cup, and tonight's the night. Everyone ready? Yes. 1, 2, 3, go! Team India! Team India! Karne sabki hawa tight. Team India is here to fight. Koi na leta humko light. Our future is bright. साथ में चलेंगे, साथ में उठेंगे. हमें टीम इंडिया, हम साथ में जीतेंगे. ना लेना कोई पंगा, कर देंगे हम दंगा. रहेगा सबसे ऊपर हमारा तिरंगा. हम है टीम इंडिया. हम है टीम इंडिया. हम है टीम इंडिया.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.